probably one of the most important pages on your entire syllabus, explains the official learning objectives of the course. These are the things that we are going to hopefully accomplish. By the time you finish this course, you should have mastered all of these skills. So the first category is to demonstrate clear and critical thought. It's a broad category, so it's broken down into some more minor points. First of all, you're going to demonstrate that clear critical thought in your formal writing. Our essays are going to total 6,000 to 8,000 words for the semester. We're going to have 3 essays between those. In those essays, you're going to summarize, analyze, synthesize, and define, interpret, evaluate, advocate, and refute ideas. So pretty standard. We're going to read some materials, all different disconnected materials, and then you're going to find the connections between them. So that's the synthesis portion, where you're making connections between disconnected things. And then you're going to analyze by breaking down each layer of meaning, and you're going to interpret the larger significance on the importance of the things that you're reading and the topics that you're studying and focusing on in your essays. Secondly, distinguish and use the denotative and connotative features of language. So that's just the difference between the objective dictionary definition and the subjective, cultural, symbolic, deeper message of the texts that we read. Distinguish and use both deductive and inductive reasoning. So deductive reasoning is when you sort of begin with you begin with your thesis, or you begin with an idea or what you think of as a truth, and then deductively you show why that is the truth. Inductive reasoning is more like you sort of look at a bunch of examples or evidence or just like objects one by one, and then from those individual things you sort of extrapolate the overall theme or the overall message. So deductively, you're starting with a claim or an opinion, and inductively, you're ending with what your opinion or your claim is going to be. Number 4, draw sound inferences from data given in a variety of forms. So mainly what we will be inferring are what we call the underlying assumptions and the extended implications. So for example, this author argues X, Y, and Z, then we infer, well, what kinds of values must this author have? What kind of concerns might this author have? What kind of pre-existing assumptions might this author be working based on? So those are the kinds of inferences. Similarly, we might draw like cause and effect inferences. So like, if this is going to happen, then what might be the effect? And then number 5, apply some of the classical divisions of rhetorical appeal. Rhetorical appeal, the 3 classics are logos, ethos, and pathos, and we will be looking at pretty much all of these major categories in the first couple weeks of class. Those are sort of the foundations from where we're getting started from. Moving on to part B, read and critically evaluate college level material from a variety of sources. That sounds like what it is. You read it and then you critically evaluate it. On Monday next week, we're going to look at sort of some standard techniques for critical evaluation, and then the rest of the term we will apply those techniques to what we read and study. To break down category B a little bit more detailed, number 1, we have identify and analyze the structure of arguments. So a lot of times an argument is based on a structure. Cause and effect is a very common structure, so is compare and contrast. Other structures are process and sequence, conditional analysis, which is really similar to cause and effect, And also the structure of an argument is the thesis, the claims, the supporting evidence. So how are those pieces stacked up together to really support an overall opinion? Number 2, distinguish facts from opinions. We're gonna sort of learn some basic categories of opinions really early on in the term. And then when we're doing our reading and studying, we're going to really identify, like, what is this author's opinion? What is your opinion? As opposed to what are the facts at stake. Discover, evaluate, and integrate outside sources to develop your writing. So in all 3 of your essays in this course are going to have a synthesis or a combination of sources that are provided in class and then sources that you will find on your own. So you'll really want to make sure that the sources you find meld well, they integrate well with the topic, starting from the course content. Number 4, appraise the role of symbols and symbol systems in the development of meaning. So one of the first things we're going to look at is the way language is a system of symbols. And then we will branch out through the course as the course continues to look at different kinds of symbols besides just the written word. Okay, number C, analyze critical thinking in the arts and sciences. So our readings are going to be taken mainly from the arts and sciences. I would say probably more heavily on the sciences side, with psychology, anthropology, and sociology being really the heavy hitters when it comes to looking at the making of meaning in language. Evaluate the validity and soundness of arguments. That is something that we will look at really soon, right away. I think maybe week 2. Number 2, identify common formal and informal fallacies of language and thought. So when we talked about those rhetorical appeals in category A, part 5, logos, ethos, and pathos, there's also fallacies of logos, ethos, and pathos. And we'll want to be able to identify those and, of course, avoid them. And then finally, identify and avoid some deliberate abuses and manipulations of rhetoric. So rhetorical appeal, rhetorical fallacy, rhetoric is kind of just the stylized use of language, and its main function is to sort of manipulate and persuade the audience into easily accepting the author's views. Maybe without having to evaluate the soundness and validity of the argument. So those are our official learning objectives. That's all of our lessons in a nutshell, basically, are right here on this page. So we will be referring to it several times during the semester. If you have questions or comments, if you want a little bit of quick clarification on these topics, please use the replies so that I can fill you in with a little bit more detail.